So the reason we fast is because we want to have that beautiful, recycle, rebuild process occurring in the body. We don't want to be building, 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 building. Building, 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 building is what causes Alzheimer's, an overgrowth of protein in the brain. Building, building, building is what causes atherosclerosis, plaque in the arteries. Building, building, building is what causes cancer. Building, building. Hello, fellow fasters! Woohoo! Yes! Day 2. How many are with me? I know I've got lots of people that signed up. Maybe you didn't sign up, but you're still on this journey with us. We are coming to you live. This is Dr. CJ Benkert with Puda Vida Wellness, and this week is all about fasting variation week. So every quarter since January 2021, I've led groups of people through 5-day water fasts. The last week of the last quarter 4, which is this week starts quarter 4. This is the last quarter of 2021. I've decided to switch it up, and we are teaching fasting variation, because maybe not all of you are ready for a 5-day water fast. Maybe you've never fasted a day in your life. Maybe you're so ingrained with societal myths, misnomers, and mistruths that you think that fasting is dangerous, that you're going to die if you don't eat. I'm here to tell you today that you know what's more dangerous? Eating. Eating is what kills us, because we're eating too much. We're supposed to eat and not eat. Fast and famine. Break down and build up. There's a time of quiet and a time of noise. There's a time to hug and a time to refrain from hugging. There's a time to sow and there's a time to reap. The sun comes up, the sun goes down, right? So life is all about balance. And for the last 2.5 million years, or the first 2.5 million years of human life on this planet, we were Paleolithic and we were feasting and famining. We didn't have food on every corner. The first 2.5 million years, we went days without food. Our DNA is still set to feast and famine. Our DNA is still set to eat food when it's available, store it as fat. So it's like you have this big, huge refrigerator, and you start off and the refrigerator's empty, and you wake up in your cave, and you go out, and you hunt and kill this huge woolly mammoth, and you gather up all this food, and you dry some of it, and you eat some of it. And let's say you did have a fridge back then, you just stuff all that food in your fridge. Your fridge, which you didn't have back then, you didn't have a refrigerator, so what did you do? You stored all the food in your cells as fat. You stored excess food, excess energy. When food is around, you stored it as fat. It was like your fridge. So you're putting all this excessive storage for fuel and energy and survival into your fat cells. And then there would be days, weeks sometimes, when there wasn't food available. And you would go out hunting, and you would walk for miles with your tribe, looking for food, looking for water. So if you didn't have food, would it make sense that you would become weak and stupid and not be able to think and dizzy? No, our DNA is set up so that if there's no food, if you're not feeding, then we actually have more energy. It speeds up our metabolism. It turns on our brain. Our cognitive abilities increase. And that's the truth. So much of what we've been told about, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that you have to eat every 2 to 4 hours to keep your blood sugar level. Yes, if you're a sugar burner, if you're fat and sick and diseased, like most people on the planet, then yes, you need to eat every 2 to 4 hours because you're so unhealthy. You're so imbalanced. Your cells are so inflamed. You're so insulin resistant. You're so hormone resistant that you can't get to the fat that's in your cells and use that as energy. So your body gives you a craving for the only thing your diseased, inflamed, dehydrated, imbalanced body can use for fuel, which is sugar. So there's only 2 types of fuel that the body can use, sugar or fat. And our DNA, our ancestors, I'm going to pick up my cell over here, we're really good at burning fat for fuel, feasting and famining. And that's still our DNA. So the first 2.5 million years on the planet, we were Paleolithic, we feasted and famined, we'd store all that excess food into our fat cells so that when there was no food around, we would use that extra fat. And then the next 12,000 years after that, that's when agriculture started, and we started to grow our own food. So for 12,000 years, we started to grow our own food. But it wasn't that big of a deal because we didn't have, which we have for the last 300 years, which is the milling of grain and the production of flour. So when you eat whole grain, so for 2.5 million years, Paleolithic, hunter-gatherers, we could only eat when we caught that wild animal or found berries or food that was growing on the ground. And then the next 12,000 years after that, now we started growing some of our own food in addition to hunting and gathering so that we could have food available more often. But it was whole grains, it wasn't GMO, it wasn't sprayed with pesticides. And whole grains don't spike your insulin and your glycemic index. So what happened is the last 300 years, that's when we started milling the grains, processing the grains, creating flour, taking out all the good stuff so it looked all pure and white and perfect. And now this really healthy food has been processed in our wisdom, supposedly, so that it doesn't spoil and you can put it on the shelf and you can make all kinds of money. And now when you eat this processed food that came from a really healthy plant, it's going to create insulin spikes, increase glucose, throw your body all out of whack. So bottom line is our bodies were meant to burn both sugar and fat. So how does that relate to fasting? It relates to fasting because we are supposed to have equal times in a fed state versus a starved state. And the last, at least for sure, the last 70, 80 years, somewhere around the 70s, we, in the early 70s, all the way up until basically 1977, we were eating 3 meals a day. We weren't snacking constantly throughout the day. If you are anywhere near my age, born in the 50s or 60s, you didn't play soccer and you didn't have little juice boxes and little snacks at every break or at halftime. You went out and you played soccer, you played basketball, you didn't think about food because you were too busy having fun, and then you'd come home and you'd have dinner. You didn't have little snack packs all over the place, little cookies and crackers and all this crap that we have now. So 77, 3 meals a day, we still were very healthy as a population. And then what happened? We have all these food companies, all these snack companies that want to make a lot of money. And so they started making cookies and crackers, and they added hydrogenated, oxidized, rancid vegetable seed oils to these foods so that they would taste better, but they wouldn't spoil on the shelf. Because when you have live food that nourishes your body and is bioavailable and is good for your body and has enzymes in it, that food spoils. So if you have a box of crackers, I don't care if it's gluten-free, it's still a dead food. It doesn't have anything really healthy in it per se, for the most part. So our bodies were meant to be in a fed state and a famine state. So let's get back to fasting. This is day 2. Comment below wherever you're watching me, whether you're on my personal page, CJ Benkert, or whether you're in the Facebook business page, Pura Vida Wellness, or maybe you're one of my clients and you're in our private secret tribe group. Comment below. Let me know how you're doing, what day you're on, and then maybe you're in our community group, Pura Vida Wellness with Dr. CJ. It's a free community group because I am all about teaching. I'm passionate about health and nutrition and helping people take control of their health by empowering you with scientifically based truths and knowledge so that you don't have to guess about what to do, because there's so much information out there. So everything that I bring to you is based on hours and hours and hours of research and studying and reading books and listening to the leading doctors, clinicians, and scientists on fasting and ketosis and anti-aging and longevity and anti-cancer, health, diet, nutrition. That's what I love to do. I love to research. I love to take everything that I learn on a daily basis, distill it down into easily digestible parts, and turn around and explain it to the general population, explain it to someone like you who maybe that's not your passion. Maybe reading scientific journals is not your passion. Maybe your passion is kids, your grandkids, traveling, selling cars. We all have our gift. We all have our passion, and we can't survive life alone. We come from a tribal instinct, our DNA. We're here to help each other, and we have tribes, and we survived as long as we have because we've had each other's back. So maybe you're an amazing hunter, or maybe you can weave baskets really well. So we all have our gifts. We all have our strengths. We're all here to give our gift, and my gift is teaching. So I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to encourage you. So comment if you're fasting with us. I know, as I said, we had a lot of people sign up. If it's still not too late, you can still get the fasting guide. Use the link wherever you're watching me. There's a link on that page to sign up for the fast. It's not too late. You can sign up anytime. So this whole week, the sign up will be available. When you sign up, you're going to have the opportunity to download and print out my 2 guides, Dr. CJ's 5-day water fast guide, and then I have a new guide, which is a fasting variation guide. Oh, that's Dr. Mindy's guide. This is the fasting variation guide that I created that's taking you through the different fasts that I'm covering today. So yesterday was 24-hour, 36-hour. We've talked about intermittent fasting a lot. So how many of you started Sunday night? Raise your hand. I did. I started Sunday night. So I am now into the 36-hour mark and beyond, right? So I'm about 36 hours. So the fasting studies show that for the most part, the first 24 hours, you are using glycogen for fuel. So when you're mostly a sugar burner, even if you're not, even if you're a good fat burner, sugar burner, like my clients and myself, you're going to always have a certain amount of glycogen storage, primarily in your liver and in your muscles. So the reason we fast is because we want to have that beautiful, recycle, rebuild process occurring in the body. We don't want to be building. Building is what causes Alzheimer's, an overgrowth of protein in the brain. Building is what causes atherosclerosis, plaque in the arteries. Building is what causes cancer. Building is what causes cataract in the eye. So we don't always want to be building and growing. We want to have equal amount of times of breaking down, recycling all those old worn out parts. And that's what fasting's so beautiful. So the first 24 hours, we are primarily using the stored glycogen, which is what the body takes the glucose or the sugar that you've brought in from your diet by eating either proteins or carbs, because remember, fat doesn't increase insulin or blood sugar at all. So for the first 24 hours, which if you started with me Sunday night, you've primarily, depending on how much glycogen storage you have been burning through your glycogen for fuel. Now, if you are a client of mine, or if you've been on this, healthy keto style of eating, and you've been teaching your cells, your mitochondria in your cells, how to be really good at burning fat and burning sugar, and you've been eating mostly low carb with not a lot of high carbs, not a lot of insulin spikes, not a lot of glycogen storage, you're going to burn through those glycogen storage faster and get to that sweet spot sooner. The sweet spot when you're doing a water fast, an extended water fast, is for most people day 3, 4, or 5. And you'll get there sooner if you have less glycogen storage. If you have a lot of glycogen storage, it's okay. Just realize we're all on a different journey, and I might have already burned through all of my glycogen storages because I've been intermittent fasting and 1 meal a day, 24-hour fast, and 5-day and beyond water fasting on a regular basis, for a good 5-7 years now. So I'm going to have a lot less glycogen storage than maybe someone new to my channel, new to this idea of feasting and famine and ketosis and carbs and insulin and leptin and hormone resistance and metabolic syndrome and all of these terms that you hear me throw around all the time. But don't be discouraged. It's okay. If you have more glycogen storage, just know I promise you that if you continue to fast with us, and we're here, let's lock arms, we're a tribe, let's support each other. I promise you that you will eventually get through those glycogen storages. And what happens when you get through those glycogen storages, that's when your body switches over to start burning fat for fuel. Because even if you're lean and at a healthy weight like myself, 150 pounds, I'm 20% body fat, which means I have 30 pounds of fat in my body. 30 pounds of fat in my body. Every pound of fat gives me 3,500 calories of fuel. In other words, every pound of fat in my body allows me the opportunity it's like I'm eating 3,500 calories for every pound of fat that I burn through. So 3,500 calories times 30 pounds of fat, I have available to me 105,000 calories. So at my weight, my height, I'm burning about 2,000 calories a day, divided by 2,000. I can safely fast for 53 days. I have enough fat in my body to give me fuel and allow me to fast safely for up to 50 days. So fasting is absolutely safe. If you're watching for the first time today, please go back. I started this fasting variation training last Wednesday. They're all recorded. They're being put into my YouTube channel. Please go to my YouTube channel, Dr. CJ, no periods, Benkert, Dr. CJ, no periods, Benkert. Go to my YouTube channel. As I'm recording these videos, as I'm coming live to you on a daily basis, we're repackaging those videos with topics and highlights so that it's easy for you to go into the YouTube channel. Just go through the free trainings. The playlist is free trainings by Dr. CJ. And I want you to go back and please watch my first video Wednesday on fasting. I did another video on Thursday. I think I missed either Friday or Saturday. The third video was on intermittent fasting. And then Sunday night, we have another video. It was my kickoff video. It was a pretty long video, but I really went into detail about the benefits of fasting, the history of fasting, why it's safe. So don't take my word for it. Go back and watch those. And then there's other experts in the field. So if you don't believe me, go onto YouTube and look up Dr. Jason Fung. Look up Dr. Mindy Pelz. Look up Dr. Daniel Pompa. Who else talks about fasting a lot? I think those are the main ones. So if you go to my fasting guide on day, I think it's day 2, yeah, Dr. Daniel Pompa, Dr. Jason Fung, those are great resources. And if you resonate with me, great, keep watching me. But every day, I want you to be watching me. Either watch a prior video that I did, that we've recorded, or if you're in a Facebook page right now, all the videos are there because we're used to eating all the time. So we have this, Pavlovian instinct, to eat. There's like the psychological trigger, we're supposed to eat, we're supposed to eat, we're supposed to eat. And then if you're a junkie and you're used to eating carbs, you eat carbs, and then what happens? You get this dopamine hit. So there's a psychological component. So that's part of the struggle, but hang in there because I promise you, waiting and continuing on this journey is so powerful. So powerful to clean out your cells. I'm going to close the window. Got gardeners going on. So powerful. You have to look at the science, stay motivated, stay connected with us. So feast and famine, you're burning through your glycogen storages. Now, it takes somewhere between 24, 36 hours to burn through your glycogen storages. So I'm probably done, and that's why I'm so freaking hyper right now. I'm probably done burning through my glycogen storages, and I'm sure I've gone into fat burning because my body is very metabolically flexible because I've taught it how to do that. And that's what I teach other people to do, is how to be really young metabolically, how to clean out your cells and your hormone receptors so that you don't have to get cancer, you don't have to end up with Alzheimer's, you don't have to have strokes, heart attacks, autoimmune. All of these modern diseases of man are primarily diet and lifestyle diseases. Why are we throwing medication at diet-related diseases? Diabetes is 100%, type 2 diabetes is 100% reversible. Type 2 diabetics have high insulin and high glucose. Why are we giving insulin to a person that already has high insulin? It doesn't make any sense. It would be like giving somebody with high thyroid. So we have hypothyroid, Hashimoto's, and then we have hyperthyroid, Graves' disease. We don't give thyroid to someone with Graves' disease. Why are we giving? It's no different between type 1 and type 2 diabetics. It's the exact same thing. A type 1 diabetic, pancreas doesn't work, there's no insulin, we give insulin. Of course, they can't survive without it. Type 2 diabetic, insulin's super high, glucose is high, and so we think it's all about the glucose. It's not about the glucose. Type 2 diabetics have high insulin because they've gone years of eating high carbs, stress, they have heavy metals, toxins, bad fats. They've gone years of eating bad foods, toxins in the cells that interfere with the hormone receptors, and they've become insulin resistant. So now the insulin was high for years before the glucose was high. So we shouldn't be looking at glucose levels in type 2 diabetics. We should be looking at insulin levels. And you can see high insulin levels years before the glucose gets too high. But that's not our modern medical system's paradigm. The medical schools are still teaching to give diabetics that have high insulin more insulin, and then these patients and these doctors are scratching their head and like, I wonder why I'm gaining all this weight. Why am I gaining all this weight? The doctor gave me insulin and now I've gained 40, 50, 60 pounds because their insulin was already high. They were given more insulin. Yes, the glucose is low, but that's not the problem, guys. It's not high glucose. That's the problem. It's high insulin. And when you give a type 2 diabetic insulin, insulin is one of the top fat storage hormones in the body. And that's why we're fasting, is to drop insulin down and heal the insulin receptors, because 88% of Americans are insulin resistant. And we now know, based on Benjamin Bickman's work, why we get sick. The book that he just put out last year, that almost all chronic degenerative illnesses that the Western way of eating produces, for example, Alzheimer's, diabetes, high blood pressure, erectile dysfunction, PCOS, strokes, heart attacks, autoimmune, etc., the basis and the start of all of those chronic degenerative illnesses is, guess what? Let me see if anyone's been listening to me. What is the foundation, the commonality between all of the chronic degenerative illnesses known to modern man? How does it all start? Anybody know? I don't see any comments. I know I've got clients that are in this fasting group with me. Where does it all start, guys? Insulin resistance. That's where it all starts. And insulin resistance doesn't mean you're a diabetic. Insulin resistance means you've got heavy metals that are stuck in the cell membrane that are creating the hormone desensitization. You're blunting the hormone receptors. You have high carbs, which are creating high insulin. You have stress. You have the mental, emotional stress of, I've got to make it, I got to make money, I got to climb the corporate ladder. All of the falsehoods of modern day society telling us that life is about money and things and that you have to eat every 2 to 4 hours. And none of that's true, and it causes insulin resistance. Now the body can't hear the insulin messages, and now the glucose finally goes high. Insulin is not only the top fat storage hormone in the body, it's the top aging hormone in the body, and it's also the top inflammatory hormone in the body. So insulin is a growth hormone. And most adults don't need to grow. So the only growth that you're going to see happening if your insulin's high as an adult is outward. It's not going to be vertical growth. We're pretty much full grown. So the insulin that we have going on now with our diet and our levels of stress and the level of toxicity is you're going to grow all right. You're going to grow horizontally. You're going to grow all the way around. You guys remember that computer game? I can't remember, where you play like sports or whatever, and you have like your little avatar, and you stand on the scale, and you can play tennis and bowling and soccer, but it's all like through this computer game. Type in the comments if you remember what that game is called, because I'm drawing a blank. I remember when I first set myself up on that game, and you stand on a scale connected to the computer, and it shows your weight, and then you put in your height and your age and all that. And then based on your weight and height, it creates your little avatar. Well, I was pretty thin at the time, so I put in all my information, and bloop, it gave my little body, my little computer image on the screen. And it looked like me. It was, lean and trim and thin, and okay, there I am. And then my partner at the time got on the scale, and she was quite a bit heavier than I was. And she put all her information in, stepped on the little scale connected to the computer, and it started to design her computer image, her avatar. And when I did it, it went bloop. And when she did it, it went bloop, 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 bloop. It was so funny. But that's what we're doing as Americans. We're going bloop, 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 bloop. Or how about that movie, Is it Wall-E, that Pixar movie? It's like a futuristic movie. Have you guys seen it? Wall-E? It's about this little trash maker who the earth is uninhabited because we created so much trash on the earth that we had to leave. So we had to go off into this space station, and we just basically destroyed our planet. And the only thing left on the planet is a little cockroach and this little computer, this little robot that goes around every day and takes a pile of trash and and puts it into a cube and then like builds like a wall or whatever. And then this robot from the space station comes down to planet Earth looking for plant life so that the human race can reestablish itself on a planet. But what I wanted to say is everybody in that space station, all of these human beings, and this is where we're headed, bloop, 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 bloop. They're all so heavy on the space station. They've been up there for like 200-300 years. They can't live on Earth anymore. And they're all riding around in these little hovercrafts because they're so big and heavy, and they're drinking like supersized sodas and big old Big Macs. And they're so big and heavy that they can't even walk anymore. So please go watch that movie. It just is such an amazing animation representation of where we're at right now, what we're doing to our planet, what we're doing to our bodies. So this day, day 2, by fasting, I promise you it's safe. As long as you're drinking water and you're putting minerals in your water. So sign up for the fast if you haven't. You'll get the guides. You'll get the opportunity to purchase our mineral bundle. So the mineral bundle is pH minerals. So I'm putting this in my water. Then we have molecular hydrogen. I'm putting this in my water. And pink salt with some apple cider vinegar to make sure you're getting balance of sodium and potassium. And then at night, you need to be taking Bind, because as you're getting into fat burning, where are the toxins stored in your body? Where is the primary place toxins are stored in your body? Most toxins are fat soluble, which means that most toxins are stored in the cell membrane, which is 2 layers of fat, or they're stored in your adipose tissue, your fat cells. So when you go through your glycogen storages in the first 24 to 36 hours, and most of you on this journey with me should be at that spot right now where you're switching from sugar burning to fat burning. So now from here on out, we're going to be seeing ketones increasing. So if you have a glucose and ketone blood meter, you want to be checking your glucose and ketone levels in the morning. It's not absolutely necessary. It just depends on how advanced you want to be. But you're going to, from here on out, you're going to see those ketones going up. But the other thing that's happening, and that's why I wanted to talk about the Bind, is as you're burning fat for fuel, that's where most of the toxins are stored. So you're burning fat for fuel. And what the body does is when it's breaking down that fat, it's just like you ate fat. So it's going in, it's breaking down the fat, digesting the fat to create energy, changes the fat into ketones, and that happens through the liver. And then all these toxins now are being released once you're breaking that fat down. And the body likes to restore bile, so it takes those fats that are being broken down and it reabsorbs the bile through the portal vein. If you don't take Bind at night while you're fasting or doing any type of cleansing or detoxification, you're going to recycle through those toxins that your body's trying to get rid of. What the Bind does is it's carbon and all these amazing chelators, activated charcoal, and all these different herbs that are really good at connecting to those toxins so that now you can poop them out and not recycle them through the portal vein system back into the liver, because like, as I said, the body likes to recycle the bile. So if you don't have these, at a bare minimum, if you're going to continue with us now, because we are now in day 2, It is not safe to continue unless you are doing it right. And the right way to do it is, well, the right way to do it would be to get the mineral bundle. If you're local, go to the clinics. If you're not local, when you sign up for the fast, you'll receive a link to purchase the mineral bundle. You're going to save $29, free shipping, and we'll get it out to you immediately. So you'll get it in the next couple of days. In the meantime, if you don't have the mineral bundle, make sure that you're taking in some type of electrolyte. Because as you're in ketosis, as you're detoxifying, as you're going from sugar burning to fat burning, your body's getting rid of a lot of junk, a lot of waste products. And when you're getting rid of a lot of the junk and a lot of the waste products, you're also losing electrolytes, which are minerals. Minerals and electrolytes are the same. The smaller minerals are electrolytes. So this is a great product. It's called Noon, the Sport Electrolyte. They have different types. They have like a vitamin tablet. They have a caffeinated tablet. This is just decaffeinated sport, and there's only 1 gram of sugar, so it's not like, out of all the different electrolyte drinks out there, most of them have sugar. This is one that has one of the least amounts of sugar. 1 gram is not going to pull you out of fat burning. 1 gram of sugar is not going to pull you out of autophagy. So please, if you don't have the minerals that we carry in the clinic, do not continue unless you get Noon or some type of electrolyte drink that doesn't have sugar. The other company, I'll show it to you tomorrow. It's called L is in Larry, M is in Mary, N is in Nancy, T is in Tom. Element is another electrolyte drink, no sugar. It's actually higher in some of the minerals, and it's probably a little bit better than the Noon when you're doing a water fast. So the Noon is great when you're doing more of a keto eating, more of an intermittent fasting, or what we call time restricted eating. But when you're doing this deep, intense water fast, the LMNT would be better, unless you have these. If you have these, the pH Minerals has tons of electrolytes in it. This is one of the most powerful antioxidants on the planet. When you're cleansing, when you're in autophagy, when you're in fasting, you're getting rid of a lot of waste material. You're oxidizing. It's almost like rust. So you're oxidizing and getting rid of stuff, and you want to neutralize these unstable molecules that are being created as you're fasting and as your body's cleaning out. So the molecular hydrogen is great at neutralizing those free radicals. Okay, so let's just go over a few points that are in the fasting guide. Okay, so day 2, we're going from glycogen to fat storage. The other thing that's happening on day 2 is my second, or actually my third type of fast that I wanted to talk about. So I've talked about intermittent fasting. Yesterday I talked about autophagy fasting, and today what I want to talk about is the 48-hour fast. Is the sweet spot based on studies, clinical studies that show it takes about 48 hours into a water fast to reset your dopamine receptors in your brain. So many people nowadays are suffering from depression, anxiety, attention deficit disorder. And it's because our brain is one of the most sensitive organs to nutritional deficiencies and high insulin levels. So the brain loves ketones. So about 48 hours into a water fast, studies show that the dopamine receptors are being reset. So now when your dopamine receptors are being set, that means when your body is producing serotonin and dopamine and norepinephrine and all these beautiful brain chemicals that make you feel joyous and happy and just high on life. And that's why when people fast, as time goes on, they feel better and better and better. So I promise you, day 1 might not have been so good. Day 2, if it's going to be a bad day, day 2 will be the worst day, which is today. And then you should start feeling better as time goes on. You're not going to be feeling worse as time goes on. All the studies of fasting show you're actually going to be feeling better as time goes on. So 48 hours is what it takes to reset the dopamine receptors, which is the feel-good hormone, which helps reduce anxiety, depression. This is all in my supplemental guide. We also have at the 17-hour mark, we know based on studies that 17 hours into the fast, so if you stopped eating Sunday night, 17 hours, you were already 17 hours in by yesterday. That's when autophagy turns on, but it's like a dimmer switch. So autophagy turns on at 17 hours, and then it just slowly starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And for the most part, we get top autophagy peak, like a peak, somewhere around 24 to 36 hours. So we are at peak autophagy by now. And that peak autophagy is now going to go in, and autophagy is that process of self-eating, where we go in and we eat up worn out parts of the body. So we eat up scar tissue, we eat up cataracts, we eat up fatty livers, we eat up old injuries. And then we'll talk in the next couple of days about stem cells and how that all works. But right now, we're in the beginning part of the fast. So right now, it's all about breakdown, breakdown, breakdown. And as we continue on, we're going to start getting these hormone spikes of stem cells and growth hormone, so that when we do start eating again, and please don't do this on your own, stay tuned. We want to refeed properly so that all of that breakdown, all of that recycle, that we're going to do it the right way so that we rebuild those organelles and we rebuild those muscles and those collagen and those connective tissues and the brain cells and the gut cells. We rebuild them properly. So fasting produces brand new cells. So in conclusion, day 2, it's all about the R's. This is the theme for today. Recycle, regenerate, rejuvenate, renew. It's all about the R's. So today, as you're going through, if you feel hungry, drink some mineral water. You can have a little bit of coffee, a little bit of tea. Just don't overdo it. Green tea actually helps with hunger. So if you're hungry, just drink a little bit of green tea. Drink some mineral water. I promise the hunger will go away. Most of it is psychological hunger because we're so used to eating all the time. I promise you 100% that there is nothing more powerful to create longevity, healing, anti-cancer, health, energy, and vitality than fasting by not eating. You're not going to die from not eating. What's going to kill you is eating too often and too much. And that's where most Americans are, and other people on the planet that have adopted the Western way of life, because everybody thinks Americans are so great. We're going to put McDonald's and Coca-Cola in all these different countries. And what happens when we reach our ugly hand of capitalism and package processed food into other countries? They start developing all the same diseases that we have: diabetes, acne, hormone problems, cancer, unheard of before we stepped in. And then we step in our wisdom with white flour and packaged food and bringing, rice and these foods into these countries. And then they start developing cavities in their teeth and all these degenerative processes that you don't see. You don't see these in these ancient tribes that have been untouched by modern society. They have strong teeth, they're healthy, they're lean, they're fit. They don't get cancer, they don't get diabetes. These are diet, modern day diseases that are all completely reversible, completely within your power. You have the power to live a better life. Will you choose a better life? Continue this journey with us. I can't wait to see you back here tomorrow for day 3. Don't give up on yourself. If you're feeling weak, reach out to me. I'm here to support you. We have an entire tribe. There's a very large group of people that are doing this fast with you. Reach out and let us support you. We got you. All right, my fellow fasters. March on, rock on. You can do it. You can do it.